It's 9 o'clock. The meeting's called to order. Please join me for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda's been provided. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda as presented?
Mr. Chairman, at 9:30, when Mr. Redmon is here, I would like to add, and you have that in front of you, approve change order number 2 from Bolton and Mink. And the extent of that change order is item 1 is to extend the contract for 90 days. And item 2 on there is a change order for removal of transite from welding booths and tables in the amount of $2,350.64. And then also, along with that, when Mr. Redmon was here at 9:30, we need to talk about and make a decision on dealing with the additional asbestos that has been found in an unforeseen attic area. They didn't have any idea that was even there, so we'll have to take action on that as well to get that going. But we can put that on when Mr. Redmon is here, and we have a discussion with him about it too.
Okay, thank you.
And you have that in front of you, and Kyle, you have copies of it too. And as far as personnel goes, I have one item there. It will be approve a memorandum of understanding for the Sheriff's Department for uniform allowance payment. And along with personnel, I'd like to mention that Personnel Coordinator Kathy Feste had a baby, little girl, Landry Kate Feste, 8.5 pounds, born on Sunday night. So she'll be off on maternity leave for approximately 12 weeks. So in her absence, I'll be dealing with HR issues. So I have her on speed dial.
Very good.
So very happy for her and the family. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman, on that.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to have a brief discussion towards sometime during the meeting about changing meeting times in the future to 8:30 instead of 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, with those changes, I'll move the agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And next up, we have the approval of the consent agenda, which includes approval of the minutes of June 11th and the Board of Appeal and Equalization on June 17th. Approval of auditor warrants from 6/17, 6/18, and 6/21, as well as the hospital warrants.
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
I'll second that.
And with motion and second, is there any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next up we have Building and Maintenance Supervisor Raymond Drew. Good morning.
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 Okay, I got a couple bids for replacing the old wooden bleachers at the fairgrounds. One of them was for, well, less the picnic tables. I got picnic tables coming too. Those are for memorial tables for the fairgrounds. So the one bid was $14,883.30, and the other bid was $20,143.73. And I do have a grant for $11,000.
11,000.
So most of it would be paid for.
Mr. Chair, where do we receive the grant from?
Minnesota Ag, Department of Ag.
Were some of the, Mr. Chair, Wayne, were some of the picnic tables being paid for by donors or
Yeah, they
memorials or things, weren't they?
Yep.
I know we
They'll
talked
be
a little bit about
reimbursed
that
by
at the
families.
last fair meeting, that there was some money for that,
Yes.
or the possibility of that, I guess.
Yep. So I'm charging them just a little bit for shipping too.
Was there 3 of them that are, or 4?
I had 4. The one bid I only had 3 on it, and the other bid I had 4. I found another one that somebody else wanted.
And they will have a name or something stamped on them?
That'll have a memorial of.
Right, okay.
Yep.
I'd move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have motion and second to approve the purchase of the picnic tables. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Yep. Send bill in.
Will they be here in time for the fair?
I'll
Probably gonna be-
At least in 2 weeks.
Well, that's pretty good, though. That's
Yeah.
good.
I'll send it.
Park Recreation.
Next up, we have IT Director Bill Folger for equipment purchase. We're just waiting for Bill to come in.
Sounds like our county administrator's gonna be busy for a while.
It sounds that way.
Oh, here's it.
Bill, we're ready for you.
All right.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I've got a couple board requests this morning. We can do them one at a time. They're not very glamorous kind of stuff, but stuff is expensive. This beats the threshold of stuff that we can just purchase. The first thing I'm looking at is to increase the licensing or the capacity of our backup software. Right now we have 4 terabytes and we're over that right now. And this is the backup to tape that we do. This is our backups that are air gapped, so they're not live to the internet. So if something happened with all of our live stuff, we do have something to go back to. We store our tapes off site. We sent some of it here, but this is what we take to the bank and keep in their vault. But I have maintenance paid current this year. I can't upgrade this unless I pay maintenance. I won't use all 10 of this right away, but if we're gonna buy this, it's cheaper to buy the 10 now and let the maintenance fall off. If I have a problem with this, I could always buy the maintenance if I needed it, but for the most part, I'm gonna be able to, with consultant help, get this fix whatever the problem's gonna be.
Okay.
It's expensive. This is probably a 5-year buy on this. SHI had the best deal. It's about $1,400 a terabyte. That's where that sits. It's not really anything exciting. The second one is hard drives. We'll be upgrading the SQL server this year, or this summer. I want to get that in place before I upgrade a couple of the other things, like the document control server and such. The recommendation for that new machine is to have it on very fast disk. The rest of our disks that we have now are spinning spindles, the old school hard drives that spin. This is SSD, but this is enterprise class SSD, completely different animal than
Sure.
than your SATA drives that you buy at Best Buy or on Amazon. These are made to run 24/7 and run for 5 years, where the other ones are counting down, made to run 8 hours a day.
Right.
Significant difference in cost, but that's why that is.
Just kind of put in perspective, I updated my home computer with the SSD drive and Windows loads within 10 seconds. You hit
Yeah.
power, everything's ready to go within 10 seconds. That's how fast those drives work. It's instantaneous. So,
Right.
Go ahead.
And that's what that is. Disk space and licensing, I guess, are the 2 things I bring up today. Any other questions about?
Mr. Chair, Bill, just budget impact, this is budgeted for you?
This is budget.
Okay.
Yep, this is on budget.
And you've done some comparison shopping, and you feel this is the best value for us?
Correct. Yep.
So you're asking specifically for the SHI for the $14,300?
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll move that we do approve the $14,300 expenditure.
Okay. This for the terabyte tapes? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And looking to take action on the purchase of the 12 SSD drives too?
Move for approval of the low bid from Rhino Technology.
Okay.
And I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Bill. I just got a quick question for you. How's everything going with that, like, AC unit in the server room? Has that been installed yet, or?
It's supposed to get, it's in place right now. It's supposed to get wired this week.
Oh, okay. Good.
It'll be cool.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Bill. Just in time, too, with the forecast, so. Okay, next up at 9:30, we have Dave Redmon from DRC. Do we know if he's available, or?
I'm sure he's over at the site, and he'll be here at 9:30, I presume.
Okay.
So if we would like to, let's do that personnel issue.
Okay, we'll move that ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Should have it in your packet. It's a memorandum of understanding between Pipestone County and LELS. And what it is agreement that after 1 year of service, an employee will receive $1,200 per year as a uniform allowance in the amount of $300 per quarter to be paid by regular check in January, April, July, and October. LELS has signed that. This is just, the payments have been going out, is just specifying when they're going to be paid and how much is what's going on here. So respectfully request a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding as presented.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have motion second. Any further discussion?
As far as the employees eligible for this, is this highway workers only, or who all's eligible?
Law enforcement.
Law enforcement, okay.
Law enforcement only,
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
certainly.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Just since we have a few minutes, do you want to move up
Times?
your discussion?
Yeah, I guess we did talk this past week to the medical center about moving some dates around, and we seem to be all in favor of doing that, and I guess I would like to consider moving the meeting times here to 8:30 in the morning instead of 9 o'clock.
Okay.
I think we're all pretty much here and awake anyway. It doesn't make a whole lot of difference. The bidding and stuff could be adjusted in the future as needed for 10 o'clock or 9:30 or whatever it might have to be, but
Would this affect any of the department heads' availability for the meetings? Like, are most of them in by 8:30, do you know, Steve?
Generally, their days start at 8 o'clock. There could be some anomalies here.
Sure.
Just sometimes it just presses my ability to get things done by 8:30, be ready to go for you guys in the morning to make sure I've got everything up. But just have to come in a little earlier to do that. Are we talking about all meetings or single meeting per month, or what do we,
it's up.
where are we at?
I was thinking all meetings, but we're gonna try to have the hospital meetings at 10:30 on the 4th Tuesday in the future. So we would have this meeting at 8:30. We would have 2 hours to get our business done here and then go to the hospital and finish that. We'd have it all done one day.
If I may, I understand the intent to try to condense things so we don't have wasted time, but the more I thought about it, for us to move our 9 o'clock meeting to 8:30, I know it seems insignificant, but when we have visitors that travel here, I think that could be a hardship for them. And then if we're not consistent with all of our times, it's going to be confusing as to what week of the month is it. So I'm a little bit concerned about that. But I also do have reservations also about our hospital board meeting starting at 10:30. I'm just really concerned that, yes, generally that would work, but it's going to really kind of encumber us to be able to have full discussions on things at times, whether it be budgets that we work on. I know sometimes we have extra budget sessions, so I'm hesitant to lock ourselves into that. I certainly do appreciate and respect the idea of trying to conserve time, not squander, but I think it's going to paint us into a bit of a corner, so I don't know if it's such a good idea.
Would it be better to move the hospital meeting to like 1 o'clock?
I think 1 o'clock would be excellent. I really do. And I realize it gives you more downtime in between them, but 1 o'clock I think would be a very good time.
Well, Steve talked to me yesterday a little bit about it, talked about maybe going to 2 meetings a month. As long as we're here doing more in a meeting. Other counties are doing 2 meetings a month, a lot of them.
Similar size counties, yep.
Larger, Nobles County for one is, and I kind of penciled some information out, and my thought was we'd do a second and a fourth Tuesday at 9 o'clock as normal time, and then you'd always have at least a a week off between meetings. Second Tuesdays work well because that's always our bill-paying meetings. Might run a little longer.
Would that work for you? I mean, as
That would
far as
be- that would-
timing and stuff?
Generally, if you think back, and I talked to a couple of board members about it as we passed time, but the first meeting of the month used to be strictly for highway department, and that was always held at the highway department. I've been here a long time, and that was always the way they did that. And then now it's, we generally use the first meeting, first part of it for Nick and any highway. But, in fairness, he's here when he needs to be here too. So we can move his highway information to the first part of the second meeting and give us time to do the business we need to do. I mean, we generally are running between an hour and a half and 2 hours. Occasionally we get done real early, but that would be something we could work towards too. I'd be in favor of that.
You mentioned highway. Another consideration, I know we talked about bid openings, but we usually have to wait until the mail comes in.
Yes.
Before you do, and mail normally doesn't get here until,
After 9. So that's why we normally do bid openings at 10 or 10:30.
And another thing that's not in the mix anymore, Health and Human Services used to be one meeting a month too, right?
Yep.
So that's out of the mix now too. We do that, Dan and I.
right, that was before we had the joint powers group, so.
They used to be in the morning prior to the hospital meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have a problem with it starting at 9, continuing at 9, and having the 2 meetings a month and having the hospital at 1.
On the 4th.
If you did need a special meeting for road and bridge or something came up, you could still call a meeting.
Certainly.
Yeah,
We would anyway.
If you had to call an additional meeting once in a while, it would be no big deal either.
that sounds very workable.
And if you have something
then-
major that has to be talked about, or an emergency, or, something of that nature, that's time
That
sensitive.
first or third Tuesday, when we get into budget, we could use one of them days for strictly budget.
That's a good idea.
Yep. And we will need probably 3 of those.
He had talked to that Hayes firm that was gonna come on the 16th in July. Do we know if that,
Oh, as far as when we actually would implement this change?
Right.
Yeah, because didn't we talk about before that we probably would wait until after that, because that was already scheduled?
Wait until August before
Start
we
the
make
first
the
of August or
change.
something.
Right.
That would give you time for bidding too, if there's any bids coming in that need to be
right,
discussed. The hospital wasn't ready to initiate this either immediately. I think we left it up to them
For a transition.
to figure it out. But maybe August would be that would give them plenty of time too, to
sure.
be aware of it. And I think that it sounded like Burris would prefer actually to have it on the 4th.
Right, because of their
versus the 3rd, Because
financials.
of financial statements and stuff coming out, but I'm okay with that. Do we need a motion to do that, or do we?
Yes. Yeah, we would need a
We could
motion
always,
to do
if
that.
you find for some reason that it isn't workable or doesn't, we can always change it.
Absolutely.
But I do want to try to stay with a set schedule so people know
Oh,
to
yeah.
be here, but.
I've noticed a difference too, since we moved the hospital board meetings in the mornings. It seems like they're not as prepared as they have been previously when we met in the afternoon.
My intent was to try to get them both on one day.
Right.
And just a matter of scheduling, and this would work fine too.
Yes.
So. I'd make a motion, we do what Steve said.
So we'll have a county board meeting starting August 1st, will be the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of the month, starting at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And then hospital board meetings will be
The 4th.
1 p.m. on the
Tuesday at
4th
1
Tuesday.
p.m.
Yeah, that sounds good. And if there is something, there's no problem, even if 3 or 4 people can show up, if it's a special meeting for something too. I mean, if it's something that, or something has to be ordered immediately, or emergency, or a tornado, or, you never know. I mean, there's all kinds of things can happen. I'd make that a motion,
Okay, got it.
so.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Good.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Do we have any other business we can move ahead? I think we're, well,
Oh, Randy Fenton's here early.
we can. All right, Randy, are you ready? You take it right now.
on ahead.
Absolutely. All right, we have Randy Fenton here for Midwest Cornhole Classic. He's coming for a request of the use of the fairgrounds.
And I would like to present a little plaque or certificate to you guys for your participation in the cornhole tournament last year.
Oh, well, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Nice.
And we have it scheduled for the third weekend in July, 16th, 17th, and 18th. And I've been notified just the other day that we have teams from Wisconsin that weren't here last year. They're coming, because they didn't come at all last year, but they're coming this year. Colorado, Wyoming, North Dakota, from all over the country. And they're also looking at some camping sites. And so if we could have the same arrangement that we had last year. Now, we did run into a situation to where there were some campers that weren't where they were supposed to be. They were up next to the building, and that's not going to happen this year. It isn't going to be. The only ones that are allowed there are the board of directors or the directors of the group. And that's only 2 campers.
And Randy, how do you propose to police that then? Herding cats is difficult sometimes.
You be honoring to some people that you thought were friends and you told them that you have to park out there and they did otherwise. And sometimes you just have to step on some toes.
Appreciate your due diligence with that. The other concern we always have too, of course, is not running into competition with the commercial. So we have to make sure that our other facilities are all filled up before anybody comes in.
The
Campgrounds.
campground is taking the reservations.
Oh, okay, good. That way they're in the loop.
Yeah, so it'll be the same arrangement that was last year. They take the arrangement, they tell us, they send them out there if they're full, and we go from there.
Some of these modern campers use a fair amount of kilowatt hours.
They all know that this is a dry site. You have to have your own generator, you have to have your own water.
Oh, so they're not plugging into us at all? Oh,
No.
very good. Thank
They're
you.
dry all the way around. They will have light if we could have the lights on after dusk until like 1 or 2 in the morning and then shut the lights off in the campsite out there, that'd be fine. But they have their own.
I see Wayne is here. Wayne, is that a problem for you shutting those lights down or?
I can show them how to run.
Yeah,
I'll have that back shed open.
yeah.
Is rent for the space or anything a consideration? Did we charge anything last year? How'd that work?
$150 last year for the whole in-building. We had a $150 deposit.
As far as the campers then, do they pay an additional rent?
They pay the Lions $20 a night to stay there.
Okay. But the county doesn't get any of the proceeds from that? It
Just
goes to Lions?
$150. Not at the present time. Last year, we had
Okay.
only like 4 campers out there.
Okay,
That was not an issue.
it's not an issue?
No.
Okay.
What about cleanup, Wayne? Was there an issue with that at all after the fact, or just
No.
pretty much policed the whole thing down
Yeah.
there? So if we have to spend a lot of time cleaning up a bunch of stuff, that makes a difference too. So
Mr. Chair and board members, our biggest expense, and Wayne can attest to this too, it's water and power is what's costing us money at the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So if we're not using much of that, that's fine. They're not using big fire hydrants and wash racks and things like that with this, so it's, our expense is pretty minimal for this event.
And the city is supplying the porta potties. So as far as the restroom goes, it's not.
not a big deal.
It might be advisable to have the blue building
I
for
think
the
it's-
bathroom
I think
for
it
the
always
showers
is, isn't
like
it, Wayne?
last
It's
year.
always
During
open
the
anyway.
summertime, it's pretty well open all the time.
Yeah.
There's always horse events going on, so that's in use quite a lot, so they can use the bathrooms, and there's a shower in there if they needed to, so.
May I ask Wayne then? Wayne, do you have any other concerns that we're missing, that we're overlooking here? You're satisfied?
Yep.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'll move that we authorize the Cornhole Classic to be held at the fairgrounds again this year, July 16th through the 18th.
August.
Oh, excuse me, August.
August, yes.
I misunderstood that, pardon me.
No, I heard July too,
I
I'm
did
sorry,
too.
yeah.
I may have said.
Yeah, I did hear July, I wrote that
I
down.
would
so-
second.
Okay.
So August 16th through the 18th.
Okay, we have a motion second for the request of the use of the fairgrounds. Is there any further discussion?
Facetiously, can't you change the name of this thing?
That's what makes it so unique.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you out there this year.
Thanks, Randy.
Thank you for the plaque, Randy.
Thank you, guys.
All right, going back, we have Dave Redmon for DRC Contracting. If you're ready, come on up.
Dave. Grab one of the hot seats.
Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Mr. Chairman, what we have in front of us is change order number 2, which is a two-part change order. Item one is for the extension of the contract for 90 days. Comments on this that Bolton Mink sent to us. Due to the harsh winter and continuing wet weather conditions during the spring, the final completion date is being extended 90 days to allow the contractor adequate time to complete the project. DRC has been making adequate progress since spring road postings were lifted to allow for equipment mobilization. So that would be item number 1. And item number 2 in this, additional 8 pieces of 4x8 transite and 14 additional pieces of 2x2 and 2x4 transite from the welding booths and the tables in the shop area. Original count by American Engineering and Testing was 26 4x8 pieces. Total additional cost, $2,350.64. Those are 2 items we'd be working on.
Okay, well, Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve both change order number 2.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Was that both 1 and 2 day?
I think we've only got, am I looking at it wrong here?
No, they're two different
Change order
ones.
number
They're
2.
They're both number 2.
There's 2 copies, but they're both number 2.
Okay.
One has 2 items on it, the other one, one of them have 1 item, yeah.
Yeah.
Get rid of the one that just has the 1 item on it, because the first one did not have the 235064 for the transite, so.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's the one that I'm moving is the one that does have the
Yeah, we're
transite.
moving the one that I described as items 1 and 2 on it.
So it's still change order number 2, but it includes the
Correct.
transite, yes.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, a motion second, further discussion? Luke?
I guess I don't have a problem with the number 2 part, but the number 1 part I'm struggling with somewhat. I can see some type of extension based on the additional hazardous things that have been found, but I don't necessarily think that we should allow the penalties to go 90 days. You know, I mean, no offense, but I understand why you're doing it the way you're doing it, but, you know, if the deducts were an issue, obviously you could have a larger crew doing it quicker. Ultimately, I think, you know, we have to be looking out for the people paying the bill, and I don't know that doing away with the time deductions for that period of time is.
So liquidated damages are usually, they're causing you damages. Like you're building a new city hall on the property and this is gonna take you into the winter and it's gonna cause you extra fees to be incurred. That's usually why they put liquidated damages on a project. If I don't do my work, you don't pay me. That's pretty standard stuff.
Right.
And I think I'm being as pretty timely as possible. We're doing a good job recycling and.
You are,
keeping
and
the
I'm not
neighborhood,
trying
you
to
know,
take away
whatever.
from the job you're doing,
I'm
because I
not,
think.
I'm not leaving the project. I'm here working and I'm, you know.
I think it's pretty evident since you got on the site on how quickly and efficiently we've been handling it too. And as far as the taxpayers, our taxpayers right now can't get in the fields to plant right now. due to the same circumstances, the unique weather that we've had in the last 24 months, or last 12 months. I think we should give consideration to the 90 days. Due to a lot of those factors, they kept you out of here this winter, being able to do the work that you had planned on doing this winter, and that really set you back. And if our farmers can't get, their fields planted, I think we should also extend a little sympathy to Mr. Redmon here.
I think I agree to approve it. I do have the same concerns Luke has, but I, with the weather conditions, and I think they are moving forward, and honestly, it doesn't make any difference to me whether it takes 3 months longer to get it done anyway. We're not gonna do anything with the property anyway.
Right.
But, and the other thing is, I think if we're reasonable, and by granting this, hopefully, in the future here, we'll be a little more gentle with us as far as additional charges that might come across down the road. And we're not trying to take advantage of the situation here either, and I hope you feel the same way toward our situation. So if we both work together, maybe we can both not, we can
I understand.
agree to get along and work as efficiently as possible.
I think it'd be a different situation if Dave was pulling his crews out for weeks and weeks on end, and that's not the case. He's here, and he's here for the long haul.
Right.
And I think in good faith, I think it would be very poor form of us to enforce the liquidated damages on this. Also to address, you mentioned that, well, if you had more people, a larger crew, but again, with the weather, when it's wet and slimy out there, it doesn't matter how many people you have, it still is not conducive to working. So I don't know if that'd be an answer. So
Some of the roads were posted too. Until
exactly, road postings,
There's a
everything
little
else.
bit of limitations there too, as far as, so
And again, especially we consider the fact that not only do we'd always been doing a good job, but the public as a whole has been very, very receptive, very favorable, and very appreciative of the job that you're doing. Probably the only down thing that we can say is nobody can see what you're doing because you got the walls up, and that was the whole intent, to have the walls up. So
That's what the drone flyovers are for.
that's
so.
right. No, you're doing a good job, Dave. I appreciate it.
I guess I will concur on that, because I've heard from several of the neighbors that they don't even really notice that much is happening, so they're not impacted negatively in any way. So that's a plus.
I've heard nothing but good from the public about the job that's being done.
Yeah.
Other than losing the history. Other than that, yes. As far as the
Yes.
work goes, and two, I know 90 days, that takes you away from moving on to other projects to make money too. So, I know you'd rather have it done now too, so.
We're in a hotel, I want to go home.
Yep, exactly. Any further discussion? We do have a motion, second on the table.
Floor.
Okay. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Thank you, Dave. Did you have any other comments, or does anyone else have any more questions for Dave?
Chairman, we have another item that I present in front of you.
Okay.
An issue has come up with additional asbestos. You have that information in front of you. The note on top is directed to me. This is from Travis Winter. It came as an email. I just wanted to put it in a format where it was easy to read instead of just reading off an email. Please take a look at that. Dave, I think you've seen it too, haven't you? From Travis? That was last, I'm sure you did.
So Steve, is this for information only at this time, or do we need to take action? We need to take action on this.
Yeah, that's just Travis's email that he sent to us. So, basically what they found is additional asbestos in an undiscovered attic portion of the three-story portion of the school. And Travis talked about the unusual location of finding it, and regarding its around 6 and 8 inch pipe. AET has been in contact with DRC. Remember, those were the testing people that we've worked with since back from 2016, 17, when they were here doing testing on it as well. So what needs to be done is the material needs to be removed from the demo. 12 can start to work right away. I believe they're actually up, either coming or here, so they can work on that. So what we need to do, were you able to come up with any pricing on this yet? Do we know? Just what's the linear feet we have at this point based on the estimate. So just some basic math. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but just taking some of the figures he had and the costs, thinking possibly between $40,000 and $60,000, depending on the actual number of feet that they find up in that attic area. So need to take a basic action on this to allow them to get started on this, and there will be a change order forthcoming on this. That'll, when we get that, I'll present that at the next meeting on it, but we need to authorize at least to get the crews mobilized to get here, get going, and have Dave and Twell get going on this so that we're not losing a bunch of time on it. So that would be to approve this, approve the information and approve the DRC. Go ahead and get going on removing this additional asbestos. That's what we need to do.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we approve this change order, even though we don't know what the dollar amount is, but of course we can't because we don't know what the amount is.
Right.
And
The conditions are gonna work in it are not gonna be good.
That's right, yep. So, and again, just to reiterate, this is the reason why we hired Bolton Mink and Travis Woodard to manage this job, and also AET, for these not unforeseen things, but these unknown things. So I appreciate the fact that we're addressing this correctly. We found this stuff, we're doing what we're supposed to do on this, and we're not just sweeping under the carpet. So because of that, I'm not happy about spending the money, but we knew we had to do it. So we knew that there was the potential for this to come up. So I will move that we approve this change order, even though it's open-ended as far as what the total dollar amount is.
I would second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Great, thank you.
Motion carries.
Dave, anything else to report today? If not, let's go back to work. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Mr. Chairman, next on the agenda is the public hearing at 10 a.m. for the home abatement for Robert and Stella Manning. I'll be handling that as Tyler is away at conference this week. So,
We do have to wait till 10 for that.
yes, so if you have any, and Nick will be on after that. We have 2 items, culvert purchases, and then we have a bid opening at 10:30, and that will have to be at 10:30. So if there's nothing else, I would recommend a recess.
Okay. Due to no other items on our agenda that we can take action on at this moment, we'll recess until 10 o'clock.
Okay, we'll recess at 9:38.
Okay.
While we're in recess, do you guys want to do anything for Kathy again like we did before? Or?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, we'll reconvene the meeting. The time is 9:54. We have the highway engineer, Nick Bergman, in front of us.
All right. The first item I have is request for board action to approve purchase of the group of culverts. You'll see I have Contact Engineered Solutions listed here, and I have True North Steel listed, but no price under them. Last time we ordered, there was no state bid contract, so we got quotes from them. This time, there is a state contract, and Contact Engineered Solutions is low on the state contract. So I would recommend going with them.
I'd move to approve that request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next up, I have a proposed amendment to the road use and repair agreement for the Lake Benton 2 project. One of the roads that was in the original road use agreement is actually underwater yet. So they need to take an alternate route. I didn't look it up, but I believe there's provisions right in the original agreement saying that they can do it, but they gotta pay for it. And whether or not the process is outlined, I would recommend doing this. They're gonna modify the roads that they're gonna use, the gravel, and they're gonna pay us the damage or the road life consumption on the other. So looks like a fair deal to me. So.
Any guess on how long before that drains out? Of course, we don't know how much more rain we're getting. Is it backed up quite a ways by a creek or where?
No, it's actually kind of just like a large,
Low spot there, huh?
yeah, it's almost like a dried up lake right next to the road, and it doesn't really have anywhere to go.
So it could take a while for that.
Yeah, we talked to one of the township guys, and he said, no, it doesn't go anywhere. It just got to drain out, and there's
Wow.
just that much in there.
This week should help.
Well, yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Unless the storms come.
Line evaporation, huh?
Mr. Chair, I'd move for approval.
Second.
Okay. The motion is second for an amendment to the road use and repair agreement. Any further discussion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And then, as you probably noticed, that agreement needs some signatures, so we'll get that passed around. Next up, I have striping quotes. We only received 2. Usually we get 2 or 3. I believe AAA has our overlay project, and traffic marking has the maintenance striping for, I think it was Murray County. Either way, they're both right in the area, so that helps. So those are the bids. I'd recommend going with a little bit of traffic marking service for $35,038.24.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have motion second. Any further discussion?
Do you still grind these in as well, too, or are these just on the surface?
I'm not a big fan of the grinding, I guess. I don't think it's worth the money, but jury's still out on it a little bit, but my prediction is that's gonna be my recommendation in the future. We're not gonna go and fill them in or anything, and when we seal coat, stop our seal coat short of the ones that were ground in, but on an overlay project, I don't think it's worth paying for it again. Personally, I've had some encounters, like driving on those roads in the rain, it almost seems like the water sits in those.
Just like the rumble strips in the center, you always get moisture coming up off of wheels on those.
Well, yeah, but not only that, but it's like the water sits in there and it makes it harder to see the paint, but maybe that's just me, but.
Yep.
And you get ice in there in the winter, and I don't like those rumble strips personally at all.
No.
I think the road's gonna deteriorate quicker right there. And
But there's nothing we can do with the state with their
No, we're stuck with
design
that.
specs. I just said,
Yeah.
Dave used to refer to them as grumble strips. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. So I think going forward, I'm probably not going to recommend doing that, but we'll see.
Okay.
I'll give them a fair shot here. So
Thank you.
We have a motion second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
and I have a couple other little updates. One of our local contractors accidentally put 112, I think, yards of gravel down on our road instead of the township road.
Oh darn. Thank you.
Tell me you can come get it.
Well, I think that the simplest, kindest, whatever solution is to just let them take 112 yards out of our pit. Well, we're there loading anyway. We'll just load them up. Might not be quite as good a gravel. Ours is crushed, yours is screened, but this is already hauled, so I think it's close enough to a wash. So if you see some trucks coming out of our pit that are not ours, or if you hear about it, we're not selling gravel. That's what's going on, so.
Okay. Fair enough.
And then we've been talking with our paving contractor, and I think this is the 4th version in the last 2 days, but currently they're trying to start on our overlays Friday afternoon. So they're talking about working Saturday and then finishing up before the 4th of July. So we'll see. Like I said, it's either the 3rd or maybe even the 4th version of their plan in the last 2 days we've gotten. So I'm sure it'll change again. But either way, it'll probably be within the next week. So.
The delay doesn't really hurt us any. If it's pushed back, we don't have any
No, we gave them
repercussions
a
from it, yeah.
September 1st, I think, or 15th, they gotta be done by, so it doesn't matter to us, but you'll probably be seeing some action on that in the near future.
our parking lot project, you'll be somewhat involved with that. I don't know how much, but is that still July 1st tentatively?
I haven't heard either way. I don't know if Wayne's
Doesn't
been.
matter. I'm just kind of curious when,
When it starts, yeah.
We just give him the option of the start date, which was, he took July 1st, but it might be after the 4th too.
Yeah, I think how it was worded, if he was gonna work in that second window, he had to start after July 1st, but be done before,
September 15th.
Yeah.
something like that, but he only had 20 working
Right.
days in the middle there somewhere, so, yeah.
and this isn't related, but just a quick, is this building going to be completed by then with the tuck pointing? Way around the concrete.
I'll have to check with Wayne on that. I'm not sure where they're at. The steps are all done.
Right.
They haven't started anything with the skim coating yet other than grinding it off.
It's kind of nice to have that done before they do, just for whatever.
Yeah, probably would, it might help with landscaping, you know, they're not driving over that.
Much work as we can get done before the new parking lot gets
Yeah.
laid in, so.
Just a comment, I thought those steps looked really good.
Yeah, I think so
Real
too.
nice,
Mhm.
yeah.
Big improvement. We've been talking about it for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But if they don't get it done, we'll have the second drive.
Yeah,
They could
that's
come
right
up
too.
and just set up back there.
On that second drive, I understand that you did take some elevation shots on that west drive, either 9%?
Yeah,
How is that?
it's like 3 1/3 on the other side. It's steeper than I thought it was gonna be. I didn't think it was gonna be that bad, but,
It is doable at 9%, just not ideal by any means.
right. Yeah, it is what it is, you know, there's nothing we can do about it, but, so.
Unless we raise the sidewalk, they might give us a little more.
Well, then you'd have to raise the street too, though.
That's-
And keep going?
Yeah, keep going, yeah.
The street a couple times, it'll come up a little.
Yeah, it'd be, I don't know, you're pretty much stuck with it, so.
Yeah. And again, it's not going to be the primary one, so if it's icy, we'll just have to really be on the ball there about
Right.
getting grit down on it or
Yeah,
whatever. and-
it's not really like a public
No.
driveway either, you know, it's, I would imagine it's gonna be pretty much limited to the sheriff's department, so they'll know, but, we drew up some options for the parking stall layout,
Yeah.
you know, if they wanted it angled or whatever, and,
And there's a lot of private driveways that are steeper than 9%, so.
oh, yeah,
you know.
yeah. So,
Okay, thank you. Does
What is
any,
yours, Dan?
Steep, and it's steeper now that the city dropped the road a couple inches. It's even steeper yet.
I know you got a pretty good grade.
There's times that I have to put it in four-wheel just to get in the garage.
Use more speed.
Yep.
yeah.
Doesn't help to stop
Wrong,
it.
right?
There's a wall there.
Well, if anybody else has any questions for me. I
well,
can-
we'll see you at 10:30 then.
Okay, otherwise, yeah, I guess be back at 10:30 for the bid opening, so.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, and then Steve, you said you were going to present a public hearing for a new home tax abatement?
Won't be quite as fluid as Tyler does. He does such a good job on it.
Oh, come on. Good
Mr.
to-
Chairman, I'll recommend we open the public hearing at 10 o'clock for the residential property tax abatement for Robert and Stella Medding will be in Osborne Township, Section 21. You have in front of you paperwork on this. The estimated annual abatement of this will be approximately $1,138 annually on this. Paperwork has been filed with Tyler appropriately. We have the home initiative application in front of you. So this will be access road is listed as County Road 17, Section 21, Osborne Township, parcel number 09.021.0510. By Robert and Stella Menning at 1806 26th Street. You have a copy of a floor plan in front of you, how they're setting up the property. Take a look at that as you will. And in your packet, you also have a resolution which we'll be acting on, which is 59-21-19. And then you have the spreadsheet that Tyler prepared showing the abatement total of $3,414, actually $1,138 annually is what we're talking about there. Being there is no one in the audience to talk about this is here, so the board can take action.
I'd move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I guess just verification and that he hasn't started the project yet.
That's correct.
Yep.
It's right across the street, the highway from Phi Industries. And there's a grove of trees there, and it's just north of that.
Okay.
So it's right along the highway there. So he owns that farm, so it's basically, the city's not involved as far as any permitting. But,
He's actually been talking with us about,
filling in the ditch.
yeah, he wants us to pay to have the ditch filled in front of
I told them what you told me. I said, we do have culverts available, and it might require a culvert, but it isn't gonna take much to fill it in either.
No, it's not, but he wants to run it, 200 feet of culvert in there, which should kind of function like storm sewer.
Part of that is not gonna be a driveway either. You know,
Yeah,
The driveway is just gonna be to the north side of it, but eventually, who knows what'll happen with that? It might be developed, but it could be years and years, but,
It could, but I don't know. I was gonna bring it up next week, I guess, but I don't know that we wanna be getting involved.
I told him that we didn't normally do that for people building a house out in the country. I said we did sell culverts at a reasonable price. And he
Yeah,
said,
right.
well, he's gonna have fill from digging the basement of the house and all that. But he said, I maybe could use some black dirt. And I said, well, we don't have a problem if you, being him, wants to fill it in. He'd have to talk to you and do it to whatever specifications you set out there, but.
Yeah, you really have to run culvert that whole 200 feet, as long as there's nowhere else for the water to go, and just back up on the neighbor.
But it isn't a very big culvert? It isn't very big, is it?
No,
Because I looked across from Fire Industries and it was just a little,
oh, this would probably be like a 24 inch or
Oh.
something.
There's quite a few foot acres of water would have to drain through that.
no,
No,
it's actually quite high there. I mean, it isn't gonna go, there's a hill down to the south, north and a hill down to the south, so it really
Yeah.
can't go very far.
I didn't really look at the lay of the land. I just, based.
Yeah. Well, sometime when you're over there, take a look at it and see what you think.
Yeah, I've actually met with them. It's, the ditch is not filled in front of his property, but it is on the property next to him. And that's where the storm sewer starts, 24 inch, whatever, and he'd like us.
And I think that was done years ago when they leveled in the east side of the highway there, basically filled that all in for those new development that was over there. And they didn't do the west side at that time. But-
Yeah,
So that's been a long time though.
I don't remember it happening. I've been here.
It's probably 25 years ago, 20 years ago for sure.
So, I don't know that we want.
But I didn't say we would pay for it or anything. I
Sure.
said we'll have to work something out with you as far as but I said I didn't think we would have a problem with him doing it.
That's what I told him too.
So-
I said we could,
Depends on what he's got in mind too, I don't know, but.
I told him we'd let him do it, but I said I'd have to talk with the board about us paying for it, I don't know that it really helps us to.
I think it'd be pretty slippery slope for us to set that precedent to start doing that for just strictly aesthetic reasons like that, so.
Yeah. There's other things we can do with money like that,
Yeah.
so. I'll just tell them.
Well, there was talk at one time about putting a sidewalk from where the car wash is all the way north along that side of the highway up past Fire Industries for kids to, a bicycle path. And if you were doing that, that might make sense. Not that the county would be involved, but that could be included in,
We talked about that?
the city did a few times.
Oh, maybe you haven't
And
mentioned.
the SRDC did too. After Dave, well, the county paid for that bicycle path that goes west of Edgerton to the park down there by the river.
Yeah, when we widened
It
it.
just widened it. And they, then they talked about going up that way too, but that died, it didn't go anywhere.
Okay, well, I'll just tell him that he could,
Yeah, we're back to where we started basically
if
with
he
it.
wants to
So.
pay for it, that's fine. Tell him how to do it, but.
He's gonna apply for a variance as well, on that property because it's ag property. And he can build on 2 acres or whatever he wants to. But if he decides he wants to sell it 10 years from now, he can't sell it. He has to include 35 acres of land with it to sell it. So he's gonna ask, and Kyle is working with that now, but he is gonna apply for a variance just for future, so he could sell it with, say, 5 acres of property with it, not 35, because he doesn't want to sell the whole farm.
Yeah, I got a notice from Kyle.
That
on
doesn't
too.
cost us anything to do that, but that's up to another board, so.
Yep.
But that's nothing to do with you at this point, but that is in the works, but.
Yeah, I got the zoning notice. I kind of look at things from a rural perspective, and I thought, no,
And
it doesn't matter.
he wants to drill his own well, and he wants to have his own drain field and all that, and I said, well, gee, but that's not I'm not doing it, so he can do what he wants, so. Rural water goes right through the ditch there.
I guess call the question on the resolution.
Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. All right, thanks, Dan.
Hey, thank you very much.
Okay. And the last item is fuel bid opening at 10:30. Being there's no other business right now, I'll take a recess till 10:30. Time is 10:12.
Okay.
Okay, it's 10:30. We'll reconvene. We have Highway Engineer Nick Bergman for a fuel bid opening.
All right, this is a fuel bid opening for the half a year's fuel supply for the second half of the year, July through December. We requested bids on 25,500 gallons of gasoline and 32,500 gallons of diesel fuel, some to be delivered to our outlying shops, some at the highway department. We received 2 bids. First bid is from Chandler Co-op. All right, Chandler Co-op's bid on the gasoline is $2.3275 per gallon. So $2.3275 per gallon. And for a margin, they bid 12 cents per gallon. And that margin number would just be if we go through our regular quantity that they bid, they're just locking in their markup. They can't exceed that, so we can ask for their invoice. Okay, so that's the gasoline bid. Their diesel bid, B5 price for the Pipestone shop would be $2.29.5 per gallon. So $2.295 per gallon. The B20 for the Pipestone shop be $2.35.5 a gallon. So 2.355 per gallon. The diesel B5 price for the outlying shops is $2.44.5 a gallon. 2.445. The B20 for the outlying shops, they bid $2.50.5 per gallon, 2.505. Margin on the Pipestone shop be 12 cents a gallon. And the margin for the outlying shops is 25 cents per gallon. All right, the next bid is BioAg Energy Services.
Where are they out of?
I think it's either Lake Benton or right here in town. We got a PO box for Pipestone.
Pipestone?
Yep. All right, BioAg for gasoline. They bid $2.27.3 per gallon, 2.273 per gallon. For margin, they bid 44.82 cents per gallon, so 0.4482 per gallon. All right, for diesel fuel, BioAg bid for the B5, $2.20.7 per gallon, so 2.207 per gallon. For the B20, they bid $2.21 per gallon, 2.21. For the B5 in the outlying shops, they bid $2.34.7 per gallon, so 2.347. And on the B20, they bid $2.35 per gallon. Margin for the Pipestone shop, 0.1317, so 13.17 cents per gallon. And the margin on the outlying shops is 0.2717, so 27.17 cents per gallon. That's it for bids.
Mr. Chair, I'll move that we accept the low bid from BioAg Energy Services.
Looks like everything's signed, so.
Yep, for both gasoline and diesel for both Pipestone shop and the outlying shops.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion second. Is there any further discussion?
The margins on it, the margin for the gasoline was substantially different from that from the Chandler Co-op. Do you think your estimate of the 2,500 gallons is close, or is that margin going to come back to hurt us later?
We bid, we picked the quantity based on our uses, so,
Yep.
and then we round it to a tanker load. Because if you're calling for, say, half a tanker load or something, well, you're not gonna get as good of a price then.
This will run through December then, pretty much, or?
Yeah, we think so. You never know.
Yeah.
I'm sure we went over on diesel. I didn't even look, with all the snow plowing. But how do you know when that's coming? So we just go off our normal uses. That's how we set our quantities, so.
But the diesel wouldn't matter because there's enough of a spread.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, the prices of fuel has been so volatile again this last month or so. In fact, at one time they're predicting really getting super, super low. And now all the international tensions, it's what a yo-yo, so.
What's gas even at the pump now? I haven't looked for a few days.
51, I think.
Yep.
Okay, so this is roughly
Lance
a
and Casey's in town anyway.
Falls is
They're all saying-
249, so
Right
pretty
now.
close.
quarter under that then.
Yeah. For a while, we were a lot higher than stations and towns around us for some reason. I don't know why that is. Used to be the other way around. We were always lower, but some reason we're on the high side for a while.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Question, so our holding tank then, we've got the reserve, we got the space for this much?
Yeah, we don't order until we have the room for a tanker.
Okay.
So when it gets down, however low that, I don't know if we can set that or if we just monitor it. I'm not sure. Doug takes care of that, but.
Okay. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, thanks, Nick.
All right, thank you.
I think they're pretty decent
Thank you,
bids,
Nick.
really. It could go up, we don't know.
Yeah.
Coming meetings on July 11th at 4 PM. There's SRDC annual meeting in Curry. I can't think of any other meetings to note.
MHA conference.
Which one?
Thanks, Nick.
The
See you later.
hospital conference is the 12th through the 14th.
Yep.
Yep, MHA 12th through 14th. I think also on July 11th is the
I'll be gone, yeah.
Casey Jones Trail Annual Meeting too, so that's why I will not be at SRDC, so. Is there any other business to come before the board?
When was that?
July 11th as well. That's at 5 PM.
Yeah,
So.
over at Woodstock.
Yep. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, my motion second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye. All same. Stand adjourned.
They're gonna have a hamburger feed with that in the park over there as well, too.
Oh, nice.
Should be good.
Thank you, guys.